Hello, friends. Welcome to the 6th episode of Season 2 of the Schoolyard Podcast, brought to you by School Specialty. I'm your host, Nancy Chung, a fun-loving teacher and content creator, also known as Fancy Nancy in 5th on social media, and I'm thrilled that you're here. A special shout out to School Specialty, who offers essential educational supplies and complete learning environment solutions to help you transform more than classrooms. This is the Schoolyard Podcast, a podcast by educators for educators where the magic of learning unfolds. In an era where the job market evolves at breakneck speed, are we truly preparing our students for the careers of tomorrow? A classroom where every lesson sparks curiosity about future professions, seamlessly blending academic content with real-world applications, isn't just a lofty ideal, it's a practical necessity in today's rapidly changing economy. By infusing career exploration into our daily lessons, we can transform our classrooms into dynamic launchpads for student success, bridging the gap between theory and practice. Let's explore how educators can create learning environments that not only teach, but inspire, equipping students with the knowledge, skills, and mindset to thrive in their future careers. Today's guest, ToniJo Niccoli, is the principal of the Career Elevation and Technology Center, also known as CETC, at New Meridian High School in the San Fernando Valley School District in Colorado. Drawing on 2 decades of educational experience, ToniJo is a committed champion for students, ensuring that every student has access to the outstanding learning opportunities offered on our campus. She leads one of the state's premier career and technical education, CTE centers, and her leadership is centered on providing students with the state-of-the-art educational programs and post-secondary workforce readiness competencies. ToniJo has presented nationally on alternative education and career and technical education topics. She was also recognized in Weld County as an educational leader to watch. Welcome to the Schoolyard, ToniJo.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Could you please tell us a little bit more about the New Meridian High School and the Career Elevation and Technology Center and how you came to where you are today in education?
Yeah, I would love to share about our campus. So, New Meridian High School and CETC, the Career Elevation and Technology Center, they are co-located on the same campus. We actually call it the Global Acceleration Campus because we're all about accelerating opportunities for students. New Meridian High School is a small alternative high school in the St. Vrain Valley School District. So we enroll students in 10th through 12th grade with a focus on credit earning, academic support, and access to opportunities. And then at CETC, we actually offer 8 different career and technical education programs ranging from pre-law, which we have the state's first pre-law program, career and tech ed pathway in the state of Colorado. It's super exciting. We also have welding, automotive, advanced manufacturing, culinary arts, media, health careers, and agriscience plants, both the plant and animal pathways. So we have about 1,600 students accessing career and technical education pathways on our campus.
Wow.
And all of the students come into our career programming via their home high schools here in St. Vrain.
Okay.
So we're very fortunate that we are able to provide this opportunity to our students.
Wow. And do the students have to apply to get into the school?
So students submit course requests so we can see how many students are requesting which programs because we want to make sure we're offering what students want, what they need access to, what's relevant. And then from there, we create the opportunities for students in their home high schools. So their counselors at their home high schools actually work to get students enrolled in those programs based on their scheduling needs. So it's not application based, but they do have to request what they want to be in.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, me being an elementary teacher, I'm wondering, okay, how can we bring this to lower grades? Is there how early should we start introducing career opportunities or career concepts to students, and how can we tailor this approach to different age groups?
Yeah, I would say always the earlier the better, right? I think sometimes people forget that students are, or children in general, are exposed to careers at such an early age, even in preschool through play. That's what
Mhm.
you're doing, right? I'm
That's so
playing
true.
doctor, I'm playing dress up, I'm mimicking what mom, dad, cousin, auntie, what everyone's doing. So
Mhm.
we just have an opportunity when students actually enroll in school to label that work for them. So having worked in a K-8 setting for 6 years, I saw the role that our elementary teachers and middle school teachers played in changing students' lives and exposing them to different opportunities.
Mhm.
So I think that can be done in a variety of ways, right? In St. Vrain, we have counselors at every level. So I think counselors going in and doing career connected lessons in conjunction with their teachers is kind of like an easy access point. But I also think teachers in just their everyday work, maybe you're doing that science experiment and you have the opportunity there to say, well, let's think about inside of this in science experiment, what are the different jobs that this would
Mhm.
entail?
Mhm.
Or I don't know what it's called now, but back when I did it, specials, right? Kids
Mhm.
would go to
Oh, yeah.
specials. They would do art, music, PE, technology. Just that
Mhm.
exposure to what at secondary we would call electives is
Mhm.
so key in getting them to think about what they like, what they don't like, and what they want to learn about.
That's great. So last season, we had an episode on esports, and the expert guest was the CMO of NASEF, the Network of Academic and Scholastic Esports Federations, and she was educating us on all the different aspects of esports. And I was totally blown away. When I thought of esports, I just thought of the actual video gamer, like the actual player, but she talked about how you can go into gaming law, the designers and the artistic creators, and even the physical therapy for gamers. And I was seriously blown away at all the different facets of career opportunities just from that one field.
I think it's just hearing what you said, it's so important, just labeling that for students that they
Mm-hmm.
don't know it, but you're not going out there and, like, creating something, right? As a teacher, I think your time is so precious that sometimes people feel like, "How am I even going to incorporate this?" Or, "How am I even gonna do that? I have to get through X, Y, and Z." And just
Mm-hmm.
taking that opportunity to say, "Guys, did you know that this is a career path? Did you know, like, when you're playing this, when you're doing something for fun at home or engaging in this at
Mm-hmm.
school, that you could actually do grow up and do something that you love?"
Yeah. So that leads to my next question. What strategies can educators use to stay informed about the emerging careers and industries to ensure relevance? You mentioned the word relevance earlier.
Mhm.
Ensure relevance in their career focused lessons.
I think it's just so important to be knowledgeable. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to go and create something so big and try to make something so extraordinary, right? I think just reading in general, just connecting with your local industry leaders,
Mm-hmm.
paying attention to what your local, state, and government are saying. In Colorado in particular, it's manufacturing, aerospace,
Mm-hmm.
right now, quantum computing. Like, these are things that are big in our area, which means there's going to be a demand for it. There's going to be a workforce needed for that. So, what can we do to start learning about that so we can start incorporating things into our classrooms to prepare students? So, I
Mm-hmm.
just think I don't wanna say being well read, you don't need to go and read a 500-page textbook, but I think having social media now,
Mm-hmm.
following people on LinkedIn, like following you on Instagram, what are people doing? What are people saying? That's how I'm like, "Wow, that's so cool. I wanna try that." Or my teachers come to me and say, "Did you know?" And we're like, "Go learn more. Go to this
Exactly.
chamber event."
Mhm.
We're big on inviting people into our building and hearing from industry leaders. What are you guys seeing in the workforce? What's not relevant anymore? What do we need to be focused on?
Mhm.
So keeping connected to people
Mhm.
and reading and paying attention to your communities it's so important, so valuable for the kids.
Yeah. So we have to constantly grow and learn and
Mhm.
model that for our students too. How can we balance teaching core academic subjects with career exploration without compromising educational standards or test preparation?
Yeah, I it doesn't have to be one or the other. I think sometimes people think you have to go and, like I've said earlier, create something special. Your work as a teacher is creating all the foundational skills that lead to a great career, right? That
Mm-hmm.
math lesson that's focused on being analytical, having analytical thinking, good reasoning skills, or literacy, where it's your comprehension, people skills, having that that balance of emphasizing foundational skills for career readiness
Mm-hmm.
mixed with innovation is key. And innovation can just be exploring in electives, right? You brought this gaming opportunity to your students, this
Mm-hmm.
esports thing that maybe they wouldn't have access to, or virtual reality. You didn't compromise any instruction there. You balanced your instruction, you added to it and got kids excited about it. And now maybe they're like, wow, in order to be a video game designer, I really need to know things about computer science.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go explore that. I'm going to take my tech class more seriously now. So I think sometimes people want to put so many things in a box that it has to be one or the other instead of saying it's both, and both
Yeah.
are great and both lead to great things.
And all integrated. I
Yeah.
love that. Okay.
Mhm.
Because I thought like CTE was like a separate curriculum.
Mhm.
I love that you're tying all of those core topics and core subjects in.
Yeah, everyone just plays a key part, right? I think in our welding program, there's so much math that goes on. And
Mm-hmm.
having our kids coming to us from our elementary teachers and our middle school teachers and having that foundational understanding of, space
Mm-hmm.
and measurements and how we do things, having that math and science background is key. And then it's our job to make it where they understand like how everything connects and applies.
Mm, yeah. And you talked about like your geographic location being having
Mhm.
like a big influence in these career choices and career paths. In what ways can we involve local businesses and community and also the professionals in our community in the classroom to provide authentic career insights and experiences? Do you tap into your community members as well?
All the time. Hopefully, they're not annoyed with us, but no, we love our community, and I think sometimes people are fearful of asking, and I have a personal motto that the answer is always no if you don't ask, right? So
Ah,
it's that's how I live my life. So I just kind of think that sometimes people are always sitting back saying, "Well, I wish someone would call us. I wish someone would come in." And on our campus, myself, our admin team, our teachers, we've flipped that. We've said, we're going to invite you in. We want you to come and see all of the amazing things that our teachers and our students are doing. And it's not a dog and pony show. This is everyday life. And
mhm,
ask them for their feedback. This
mhm,
is They're the ones with the business. They're the ones that are producing something. What can you come in and say, you're doing this well, but you know what? That's outdated technology.
mhm,
Or, inside of our automotive program, like even just the shift now to EV, we need people to come in and say, no, they still need to learn this, but I also need you guys to be doing this. Otherwise, you're preparing your students for an irrelevancy. And that's
mhm,
not what we want. Our teachers and our kids are working way too hard
mhm,
to graduate with skills that don't even matter anymore. So it's our job as educators to say, here's what we're gonna do for you. So when you graduate with your high school diploma,
mhm,
you're also graduating with all of these relevant certifications that lead to high wage, high demand jobs. And our business leaders, our community members are the
mhm,
ones who help us
mhm.
determine what is needed in a
Yeah.
career in tech ed, what's
Yeah. Yeah.
valuable.
Identifying the problem first. Like that's what we always say in science or anything.
Mhm,
Like, identify the need or the problem
mhm.
and then come up with the solutions, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say for the students, like that's networking too. Like if they stay in
Mhm.
touch with the people, the community members who come in to share these expertise, that's networking that they could be like, oh, you came into my class and you shared about this, and I would love to, learn more from you. And it could lead to like internships possibly,
Yep.
right? Or more connection.
It it absolutely does, and I think, you being in the elementary world, just having guest speakers come in and talk to your kids about careers. Then at the middle level, just building upon that more. And then at the high school level, getting them into internships where they're
Right.
actually exploring and creating opportunities for students. So we
Mm-hmm.
don't, it's a mutual relationship with our community. It's not, um, I don't call them or invite people in with, I want something from you besides your knowledge and your passion.
Mm-hmm.
And, when they come in, our students lead the tours. Our
Mm-hmm.
students talk to them about all of the amazing things that are happening in our school district inside of our programming. And
Mm-hmm.
people walk away with, this understanding that, wow, kids are really amazing. Like this is our future right here. And I do want to create an opportunity for them to go and do something great.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty awesome. It could be like definitely inspiring on both sides. Both yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
and, kids are just, they don't, hesitate. We brought in a pretty influential
Mhm.
businessman really in Colorado, and he's, developed he's a CEO of some companies, and we had kids after he came in and just spoke about his background and stuff, and they went up to him and they're like, "I wanna learn from you. I wanna work for you.
Mhm.
And, how can I do that?" And he was like, "Well, let's talk. Let's create an internship opportunity for you." And it wasn't me doing the ask. It was
Mhm.
2 people, you know, from 2 totally different generations with a shared passion,
Mhm.
going after an opportunity. So it's so fun. I mean, kids
I
kids
just got
create
goosebumps.
amazing things.
Goosebumps when you
Yeah.
said that.
I
I'm like,
do too, because I'm blown away by, um, how amazing our students are, but equally how amazing our community and
mm,
business
mhm,
partners are, and it's all because
mhm.
you just invite them to the table.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not just call people and say, "Can you come in?" I don't really think people don't wanna share like, they want to share their knowledge with children.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Because I'm sure they have a lot of pride in what they do as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
I used to
Yeah.
do I don't know why I don't do this anymore. We used to call it POP, people, occupations, and passions. And so we
Oh,
used
that's
to
cool.
invite, yeah, pop. And so we used to have like parents come in and share what they do. But, I would always have the students guess like what their career is. And they're like, you
Mhm.
like a doctor or, based on like,
Yeah.
whatever assumptions they make. And they would be like, no, I'm a video game designer or I'm an FBI agent or, like, and it's
Yeah.
kind of really interesting to see how kids, when, I mean, our job, when they see their teachers on a daily basis, like, of course they listen to us, but it's not going to be as exciting as having somebody from the field coming in saying,
Mhm.
I'm a detective. And they're like, oh, and all of a sudden they're so much more interested and engaged and they want to know
Yeah.
more.
They
Yeah.
do, and I think too, inside of our school district in particular, I think we've done a really good job of just keeping that solid bridge of K-12 connected. So,
Mhm.
you know, um, for me now, my teachers are training our students, and our
Mhm.
students now, they're going to the middle schools and elementary schools, and they're the career speakers. They're saying, look at all the opportunities inside of our school district.
Mhm.
If you really have a passion for hospitality and culinary arts, and I'm just saying that because next week, our teachers are going out to do uh, they're kind of like your pop person or your career person at a
Mhm.
elementary school next week, and then the kids know, "Wow, I have an opportunity inside of my own school district, and that student who that student looks like me, and they're doing this, and they're sharing about it." I think it's so cool. Our EMT program students actually go out to our middle schools and elementary schools, and they're training people in CPR because
Ah,
they're CPR and first aid, and
uh-huh.
the kids are like, "I wanna grow up and be like them," and it's the
Oh,
kids.
uh-huh.
So they're like the
Oh,
best role models,
uh-huh.
so
Love
you
that.
can create that inside of your own school, like, you
Mhm.
can or school district, you can build your
Mhm.
own system.
Hmm. I do have a few more questions, but this would be a perfect place to hear a little word from our sponsors.
Ready to kickstart your students' lifelong love of learning? Discover learning resources, educational insights, and Hand to Mind, the family of educational brands trusted by teachers and schools worldwide. Our award-winning selection of hands-on educational products, innovative teacher resources, and engaging supplemental materials help students everywhere succeed in the classroom and beyond. Shop now at schoolspecialty.com.
The right environment can transform more than classrooms. Classroom Select helps you create the right environment for your students with a wide selection of quality, affordable furniture for pre-K through 12th grade. Classroom Select, only at schoolspecialty.com.
And we're back. How can we address and mitigate potential biases in career exploration activities, ensuring that all students, regardless of backgrounds, see themselves represented in various professions?
Yeah, that is one of our missions inside of our Career and Technical Education Center. So we're very intentional with the work that we do. We work very hard to tour every single 8th grade student inside of our school district. In our school district right now, we're the 7th largest school district in the state. So
Wow.
it's a heavy lift on our staff, but it's so important that we're providing, people want to talk about equity a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And inside of our school district's the best model because equity is about access and opportunity. And we're busing kids over to see these programs, helping them sign up, helping them do the course requests. They're walking the halls and hearing from students who, you know, look like them. And maybe it's someone I saw them at they're my cousin's friend, or I saw them at the football game. It's really exciting to see students get excited. And it's not, I mean, how can I say this? I'm thinking about like just representation in general. It
Yes.
can mean so many different things. Like for our kids, having females in welding, like
Wow. Hmm.
our welding program produced Colorado state champion last year, and it was a female. That is so powerful because people don't think of that. Our automotive program, they're like, oh, they're just working on cars. No, they actually won the state championship in community service, and they're
Wow.
helping disadvantaged women access vehicles and get back on their feet.
Mhm.
Walking into the nursing program and seeing a male student who maybe plays basketball at a high school and he's in the nursing program, just breaking down, those perceived biases or stereotypes of
Stereotypes.
these stereotypes of who can do what job. We are not about that. We're about, you know, come one, come all. We want the best for you. I just want all of our kids to graduate and know that if you go to college or you go to trade school, it doesn't matter to me. I just want you to graduate with opportunities. And
Mhm.
you're already doing this great work. So the earlier we can get kids over to see that and to envision themselves in that role, it's just, as you can tell, it's a passion area. It's a point of pride
Mhm.
amongst my staff and my students.
Yeah. So not
Mhm,
necessarily only choosing the career that's going to make them the most money,
mhm,
but something that they really want to do, that they
mhm.
feel passionate about, and leading, like just giving them opportunities to try that and guiding them in the right path. I mean, thank you
Yeah.
so much. I definitely think representation is key when
Mhm.
I know you mentioned, like when you were talking about the women in welding or
Mhm.
automotive. Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
Um, I used to coach our robotics team, and
that's so cool. Yeah.
yeah, and then we would go all the way to like the world championships in
Mhm.
Kentucky. And when people see me coaching, I wear a lot of makeup, my hair is all done,
Mhm.
like the typical, like the robotics nerd, at quote
Yeah.
unquote robotics nerd. And I would tell them, hey, you don't have to be a, geeky looking boy to be in the robotics. You could still like makeup and hair and,
Mhm.
all that stuff and still be very interested in robotics and coding and
Yeah.
building.
And exposing them to that so early. And like
Yeah.
our school district, robotics is huge, and
Mhm.
it started as something small, and now it's just exploded. I think there's
Yes.
200 robotics teams or something. I mean, it's
Wow.
insane, and it's just kind of this, I don't want to say an expectation, but I do think it's an expectation that you can achieve great things and it doesn't matter where you go to school, it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter, what your house looks like, that everyone inside of, our school district in particular just has access to the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what teachers do. They level the playing field for every child.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure within the 2 decades plus that you've been in education, you've seen a lot of technological advances, right? So, what
Mhm.
role can technology and virtual experiences play in expanding students' exposure to diverse career paths, especially in resource limited settings?
Yeah, I grew up in a very rural school district,
Mhm,
in a small farming community, and I just, uh, think about how I'm here today because of, my teachers and my community exposing me to things. So,
mhm,
I would say, going back to, like, when I was a junior in high school, like, we didn't have a lot, but my teachers worked really hard to offer us opportunities. So they set up what I would call, like, an agile system now that we have in same frame where you could almost, like, WebEx or
mhm.
Zoom into a
Yes.
classroom. They
Yes.
set that opportunity up for us with a community college, a
Oh.
local community college. So I was able to sit in a room in my local high school and take a college class. Just as
Mhm,
something as simple as having a setup like this back then, right? And
mhm,
now I think about 20 some years later, that's all so amplified now. Our students have I think people are almost fearful of technology where it's like you
mhm,
can lean in with just some solid expectations. So our district is a one-to-one iPad school
mhm,
district, so our kindergartners have iPads and so do our seniors. And
mhm,
it's being thoughtful and teaching them about everything that this tool can do for you. But kind of went off on a tangent there, sorry. But I do think in more resource limited areas and going back to like the rural community I was in, you might
mhm,
not be able to go just based on sheer size, build something or create all this programming because you might not have access to the teacher, but
mhm,
maybe doing an agile model with like our school district, we reach out to rural communities. I actually have students in very rural school districts across Colorado accessing my pre-law program because that school district's not gonna be able to create that and pay for that, but, our superintendent has been so big on having this model and
mhm,
providing access to others, and I think for me too, um, I'm at capacity at my site with CT, so as I might wanna start a new program, but I can't, so the virtual reality component is so
mhm,
cool. We just had a group in running through, um career opportunities with our kids, and one career of interest was fighting wildfires. Well, of
uh-huh,
course, my students I can't set that up for you, right? I'm not gonna
uh-huh,
say, "Come outside and let's fight wildfires." That's not
yeah,
reality for any school district, but
mhm,
they put on their VR glasses and it was
uh,
almost like a video game thing, but they were
uh-huh,
practicing, like, how they were learning training, like, you start at the base. How do you put out this is how people if you wanna be a firefighter with these wildfires, this is how you do it. And it was
mhm,
so cool for our kids to have that exposure through virtual reality.
yeah.
I didn't have to go create this huge program, it was right there and I provided the opportunity.
Oh, that's a
Well,
great example, yeah.
um, our awesome assistant principal provided the opportunity.
Mhm. Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, and with, all the virtual reality things and all the AI things that are happening
Mhm.
that are going on, like the jobs that don't even exist now that will exist, or jobs that will
Mhm.
go away maybe because of certain capabilities, with
Yeah.
technology. Like, I mean, yeah, like it's the job opportunity, the career opportunities are just constantly changing, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, okay. So speaking of resource limited settings, what advice do you have for those who are excited by all these different career exploration opportunities, but have doubts about access to resources to achieve the type of program that they really want for their students? Do you have any tips for teachers wanting to start this where they are?
I would say, one, you do have resources. Maybe they're not what you're thinking of, but you do have resources. And I think your best resource is people in terms of like your community
Mhm.
and your industry leaders. Every community that you're in has someone or a business or someone who can come in and talk to your class. Or I think of health careers, right? That's such a such a need in our country. Manufacturing and health careers are some of our top needs in terms of workforce inside of our country. And how
Mhm.
many jobs are inside of a hospital, right? And if you have access to just someone who would even just come in and talk to students
Mhm.
about that, you have access to people. I think sometimes people think that resources have to be a $100,000 piece of equipment,
Right.
or I need an entire automotive shop. Do you? You know, you might not. You might need access to an engine
Mhm.
that a car dealership somewhere, someone else might be willing to donate to the kids. Like there's so many ways when you look at it from like a positive mindset of what I do have and how I can make things just a little bit better. You know,
Mhm.
that's how I look at things is,
Mhm.
you know, I just want to get a little bit better each day, that I think great things can happen, and people in your community, they love kids. They
Mhm.
love their teachers, like they believe in you. You gotta push on them and say, "Come in, help me.
Yeah.
This is what I wanna do. Can you help me with that?"
Mhm. And then also like I feel like there are so many grants that are not tapped into, grant opportunities.
Yeah. We are I think, I think I'm not trying to come across as bragging about my school district, but I kinda am,
It
because
sounds
I think
awesome.
it's amazing, but, I sometimes have to stop myself because I say, "Oh, I'm so lucky," and I have to realize I feel lucky because a lot of people dove in and did a lot of hard work, that now the expectation is just to keep, doing great things. But
Mhm.
we have an amazing grant writer in our school district. I think we're like, she's the queen of grants, and
Aw.
same thing, like I said, the answer is always no if you don't ask.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have that money before if you didn't go get it, but you gotta make sure it makes sense for what you want. But there are
Mhm.
grant opportunities,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to career and technical education planning. There's federal money, there's reimbursements when you do programs and students earn certifications. So I just encourage everyone to tap into their state
Mhm.
and find out more. And
Mm.
there's so many people who would be willing to help you
Mm.
start something or write for something
Mhm.
or do an ask or
Mhm.
get going.
Yeah. That's amazing. Wow, I just learned so much from you. I just always hear like career, like CTE, career
Mhm.
tech education, but it just seems like, all the districts and all the different states have different types of programs, but I just love how you guys are doing it at your district. Um,
Mhm.
and I can't wait for more teachers to hear this episode so they can, also get this going. And we're going to be sharing your info. So you might have some teachers reaching out to you saying, help, give us
No,
advice.
it's fine, and you know, my campus is great because of our teachers and admin team. I mean, they are phenomenal. The support I receive from my area assistant superintendent and superintendent to just keep reaching for greatness, I just think is inspiring. So if there's anything we can ever do to help inspire others, like, we're used to it. We run a lot of national tours. Our school
Oh,
district
yes.
hosts an
Uh-huh.
amazing leadership institute where people fly in from across the country
Mhm.
and learn, and we're a tour site for that. So I would just encourage, if there's anyone listening who
Oh.
wants to learn more about that,
Mhm.
to feel free to reach out to us, follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn,
Yes.
our
Uh-huh.
websites. I'm big on sharing, and I'm by no means an expert, but I love bringing people in because I wanna learn something new too.
Uh-huh.
So I just look forward to learning from others.
Wow. And I think you're really downplaying your your expertise, but I'm like, as you're talking, I'm like, this is great. This is
Mhm.
amazing. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for what you do and what you're pouring into your community and your students and in the education world. Thank you so much. Now we have a segment on our podcast called Tag Your It, where the listeners write in with the questions and our guests
Mhm.
answer. So today's question comes from Tanya D. And her question is, what is a job that exists now that didn't exist when you were little? That you think like, this is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. That's a great question. How This is a fun segment. Well, one, I think, I'm super into I shouldn't say super into. I really like ChatGPT,
Hmm.
and, I find it fascinating too, like, how it's helped with my workload. So, I think I would want to dive in and learn more about prompt engineering. That
Oh,
really wasn't a job before. And
uh-huh.
just how, that language, how it works in terms of producing things. I think anything with like maybe prompt engineering,
Wow.
podcasting. I love talking to people.
Mhm.
On TikTok, I'm obsessed with people who are sharing about books. Like I'm a book talk girl.
Uh-huh.
So I just think it's so fun to the books were already there and there were
Mhm.
book clubs before, but what a cool way to expose people to what's happening. So
Uh-huh.
two very different avenues,
Mhm.
but, yeah, prompt engineering and
Yeah.
maybe book talk podcasting would
Oh,
be fun.
awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Mhm.
Well, ToniJo, thank you so much again for being such an amazing guest on our Schoolyard podcast and sharing your expertise with our listeners. It was a true pleasure having you on the show. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Schoolyard Podcast. Remember to pack your curiosity and meet us back in the schoolyard for our next episode. Tag, you're it. It's your turn to write in with a question, which we will answer here on the Schoolyard Podcast for our segment called Tag, You're It. Tag us on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter at School Specialty and hashtag Schoolyard Tag Your It with a question that you want answered. One question will be selected per episode to be answered by our featured guest and myself. If your question is chosen to be answered on the podcast, we'll send you a very special Schoolyard Podcast t-shirt. Class dismissed.